Welcome to another episode of Flippin' Ain't Easy. Again, this is John, and I wanted to talk to you today about a couple things. One being about managed payments. I actually called into eBay late last week and spoke to a rep who sounded like she knew what she was talking about. And also, I wanted to talk to you about a cancellation request that I just had to tell you about. So, without any further ado, let's go. So I've received a lot of questions and feedback from many of you regarding managed payments, and it seems to be a very popular topic to talk about. And so while I thought I was done talking about managed payments, when I called in the other day regarding a situation I was dealing with, I happened to be speaking with a rep in the United States when I called in, and so I thought I would at least sort of ask some of these questions because it was a managed payments representative that I was speaking with. And so, I don't know what prompted her to tell me this, but she offered to tell me that eBay internally has been discussing the fact that they are trying to be friendlier towards the seller, and that we are the lifeblood of their company, and they realize that we are what keep their business going. Without, and her words were, without the sellers, they don't exist. Well, I agree with that, but we need a little bit more than just words. We need some actions. And eBay, if you're watching this, you can start by requiring all best offer buyers to immediately pay for their item as soon as they click accept. It's possible, and that's one quick gesture, in my opinion, you can make to confirm what you're saying internally. In my mind, there wouldn't be a reason for her to say that. I wasn't complaining about anything, and so for her to say that was encouraging to me at the time, and hopefully it's encouraging to you. So I mentioned on this call that some of the sellers that I've been speaking with have not received an invitation to manage payments, and sort of ask what's sort of going on with that. Now, she made it sound like this is going to be handled in waves, so don't be surprised if you get a message here in the next month or two stating that they're ready for you to switch over to managed payments. And I asked her, I said, well, what about those sellers who don't want to switch over to managed payments? What's going to happen with that? And she told me that if you do not register, eventually you're going to be in a place where you're not going to be able to accept payment at all, which means that they won't link your account with the PayPal account that you're used to using. And of course, because they don't have your bank information and your social security number on file, you won't be able to get any payments through them as well. So pretty much after a while, they're going to keep contacting you through eBay messaging. And eventually, after a couple weeks, if you still haven't signed up with managed payments, your listings are going to be taken down completely. And you're not going to be able to list anything new. It's just going to be like a suspension. So, and then, of course, when you decide that you want to play by eBay's rules, and I've always told you guys that this is eBay's game, it's their rules, and it's up to us if we want to play the game. And this is just one of their rules they're implementing pretty soon. Won't be any more PayPal. The rep did mention that not everyone will be pushed over to managed payments, and she gave me two scenarios. The first scenario is if you have an account that has no clear defined owner, where the owner, an individual, owns at least 80% of the eBay account, they don't have a way or a system in place to identify the true owner, and therefore when they're asking for the social security number, I know that there is the taxpayer ID, but right now they're just focused on the eBay owners that they can identify. And if you're in that category where you have multiple owners on your eBay account, you may not be switched over anytime soon, and they will allow you to take PayPal payments. The other scenario is if you sell collectibles, I believe coins, adult items, that sort of thing that Apple Pay, see, the problem is Apple Pay does not allow their merchants to sell that type of merchandise. And because Managed Payments has incorporated Apple Pay, eBay has agreed with Apple Pay that they would no longer take payment for that sort of an item. So if you are selling in those categories, they've advised me that you would still be able to take PayPal as payment. Now, who knows for how long? She wouldn't give me a timetable on that, but that's just something that you need to keep in mind. If you're selling in one of those categories, you may not be asked to switch over anytime soon until they can figure out a way to accept payment for that. And it may be that they may allow PayPal to be used for that category of item only, because if you're selling, you might have a mixed bag of goods. You might be selling clothing, you might be selling coins, you might be selling adult goods, and all in one account. And if you're selling in a particular category, it may require you to link it to your PayPal account for those items. If I hear anything more on that, I'll be glad to give you an update if I find anything else out on that front. So Friday morning, I wake up knowing I had about 3 or 4 orders to process, and it took me about 30 minutes to get those orders done, some larger items, and they're already labeled, ready to go. And I think about an hour later, the mailman, the carrier, came by and picked up the packages. And about 15 minutes after he came and picked them up, I ended up getting a message from a buyer who bought an item that was fairly heavy. It was a set of knives that I sold, kitchen knives, nice little set in a block. And they wanted to cancel the order. And I had already shipped it out. So mind you, they bought this about 4 hours, 5 hours before the item had been picked up. So no notification from the buyer that they wanted to cancel. This buyer contacted me 5 hours later and stated that they wanted to cancel, they no longer needed the item. And so I came back and told the buyer, well, I'm sorry, we had already shipped the item out, and we no longer have the ability to cancel the order. And so I thought that was the end of it. And then the buyer comes back about 10 minutes later with a message stating that I know you still have the item and I need you to cancel the order. So what do you do? I have no reason to lie. And frankly, had I still had the package, I probably would have still told them, sorry, it's too late, because I've already run the label, paid for the label, packaged it all up. I'm not gonna cancel the order because who knows why. So I came back and told them anyway that, well, again, I can't do anything without a package. The package is en route to you, and again, I can't give you a refund when I don't have the package. So I'm not able to cancel the order. About 15-20 more minutes pass, and the customer comes back and says, well, I will return the item once I receive it. Now, one thing you have to understand is I think this was a $20 set of knives. It wasn't the most expensive set, but the shipping for them was almost $30, so they paid almost $50. So I had it set up to where the majority of the money was in the shipping, because if they decide to do a return, I'm not getting stuck with that return label. And it's a brand new set. There's really no reason that they would say it's not as described. I basically replied back to the buyer and I told them, you're welcome to return the item if you wish. However, please note that the money that we spent on the label to ship it to you is non-refundable, and the return label you're going to have to pay for, because in this message you have stated that this is buyer's remorse and you're looking to cancel, or in this case now return the item because you no longer need it. And so I sent that reply back to the customer, and they replied back, you're meaning to tell me that I'm not going to get a full refund, I'm only going to get the $20 back, and I'm going to have to pay another almost $30 out of my pocket to ship it back to you? And I replied, yes, this is exactly what I'm saying. We have a clear return policy that states that the buyer has to pay for the return label. and we do not refund shipping, the money you paid us for shipping has already been paid and spent on the label to get the package to you. And so that was the last I heard of the customer. And today the customer sends me a message stating that I'm only trying to rip off the buyers, and it is totally unacceptable that I would not work with them. And they proceeded to leave me a positive feedback stating something to that effect. And it looked like they weren't very clear about what they were trying to say, but it was definitely a negative message in a positive feedback. And I tried to get that removed, and I sent a message through eBay, and they denied my request. So as it turns out, the buyer sent me a positive feedback with a negative comment stating something to the effect that I'm trying to rip off buyers. So even though it was a positive feedback, the message was not positive, it was negative, and it wasn't true. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. I simply sold the item to the customer. I shipped it out in a timely manner. I didn't ship it out right away. It was about 4 or 5 hours from the time they paid for it to the time I shipped it out. And so I did nothing but get it out to them in a timely manner, and to not cave in to their coercion of trying to give them a refund when the item was on its way to them. I don't see how it's reasonable for them to have thought I could have done anything differently. So, you know, I contacted eBay, and I did it through their automated system, and I explained it in quite a bit of detail. In fact, more detail than I've discussed here with you, and they still denied me. So I'm going to have to call in, and from my experience, either calling in, or I'm going to even try eBay for Business on Facebook and see if they would consider taking it off, because it's not right. And obviously whoever was reviewing that didn't do as I asked, and to look at the message string between myself and the buyer, because if they would have done that, they would have seen how much of a moron this buyer actually was. And for those of you who are wondering who this buyer is, so that you can actually go in and block them, it's a long name. I'll try to read it to you here, and I will put it up on the screen here in just a second. But it's a long one, so I'll go ahead and tell you what it is. It's ELELI-SI-1N7, C as in Charlie, H as in Henry, 6TS. It's like someone stole someone's password and said, hey, this would be a great idea for an eBay username. Sorry guys, I'll put it here on the screen, and I would advise any of you, and this person has over 100 feedback, so they use eBay a lot. I advise many of you to block this person, because yeah, you don't want to deal with someone like this. Buying something from you 4 or 5 hours later, asking you to cancel once you've already shipped it out, and then not even having the common sense to realize it was their mistake, and they want to put it on you and blame it on you. And really, I'm welcoming a return, because I have all the messages. I even called them when this was happening on Friday. I even called eBay, and this is something I didn't tell you until now, but I called eBay to put it on record that this person was going to be difficult, and she made a note in my account. So I welcome a return, because they're not getting their original shipping back, and I am not paying for that return label. And I'll call eBay and tell them, look at these messages. This is buyer's remorse. I don't care what they state. This is a brand new package, and if they had no intention on keeping it and they wanted to return it back, then how is it not as described, or what any other way that they may decide to try to send this item back to me? So I will keep you posted on that if something changes with that situation. Really, I just want it to go away, but I welcome the challenge of them trying to return this. Now, if I get someone at eBay who legitimately cares about the seller, and if eBay truly cares about their sellers as they're trying to internally make some changes to make that evident, then it shouldn't be a problem, right? So we'll find out, and I will definitely give you an update if anything changes on that. For now, they own a set of knives, and good luck to them. I hope they know how to use them better than they know how to use eBay, because the way they used eBay really was wrong. And to try to blame me for whatever reason they decided they didn't need the knives anymore, but to try to blame me for that is absolutely wrong. So yeah, that's my rant. So really, other than that, I had a great weekend. How are your sales this weekend? Mine weren't so hot, and I found that I have a lot of errors in my listings. And I don't know if any of you have noticed, but when you put a UPC number in your listings, eBay likes to use its pre-filled photo and item specifics. And I had an item that eBay had automatically assigned that information, even though using InkFrog, and I'm going to get rid of InkFrog, by the way. It's just causing this problem, I think. But I created the listing in InkFrog, and it had all the eBay item specifics, even though I put a ton of item specifics down. And eBay had this thing listed as a nonfiction book. It's an electronic item. So for that to happen, and when I went in and tried to take it off on in eBay, it was causing me all kinds of problems with that particular UPC. So there's a number of different errors that I found, and I think it's tied into InkFrog, like wrong titles from previous listings that aren't even the item I was selling, and things of that nature. And I've spent the entire day today trying to fix a lot of this stuff, and just going through each listing, making sure the item specifics are there. And I just think there's a problem. I don't know if it's on eBay's side or if it's an InkFrog thing, but definitely I'm in the market here to make a change. Do you guys know of any listing software that works as well, or if better than eBay's standard lister? That would be very helpful to me, and maybe others who are looking for a good listing service. InkFrog, I'm used to how they work, but I think there's better out there. So if you guys can help me with that, I'd appreciate it. So that's really all I have for you guys. I want to thank you for sticking with me this long in the video. Come out with another video here in the next few days, but until then, keep listing, keep making those sales, and have a great rest of your evening.